We're going to recap last week for just a second because I think it's a building block to where we're going. So we talked about bringing that spiritual energy into our physical world, which we talk about all the time, but in a new and more focused way. We talked about bringing the God light into something that we ourselves are missing, something in our world that we might feel we have a lack in, to bring God light into us and to begin to provide for ourselves and be open to receive what we're missing in those areas. We also talked about common unity, which is having a similar approach, creating community with a common unity. And we talked about knowing that God was in all, and there are so many things that we can link with each other in that common space. And I hope everybody did great with that message and they're fabulously growing in your world. All right. I wanted to share something with you guys. I have this book that I dropped down ideas in. It started in 2018. And so I'll get a message like in a future Sunday to talk about a certain subject. And then I'll go back and see, well, what did God tell me to do that I've forgotten? And I was guided to look at it recently. And this is what I had written for Easter 2020. Spirit wanted me to talk about the reactions of the disciples the night that Jesus told them that it was now, that this was the week. To really explore how they might have felt in that moment when they've been walking with him for so long and they'd heard all the stories, they'd heard what was going to happen, but it was, and today is the day. How would they have responded? What would have happened? How serious would the world have hit them in that moment? As you know, our entire month of March was basically interrupted. Into Easter, we were interrupted. And Spirit hit me with, we actually walked that during this Easter time. We walked a moment in time when Spirit is telling each and every one of us, it's now. Today's the day. Now is the time to begin to live what you believe. And that was a worldwide wake-up call. We lived that moment where each of us has to understand, or we don't have to understand, but we can recognize that there are issues in our world, things happening in our world that we knew would happen, and we have been taught and prepared to deal with it, but now we have to act accordingly. We have to actually begin to live what we believe. So, Spirit, that sounds ominous, I know, but it's the truth. So Spirit asked me to talk to you guys about this. It's time for us to create a culture. In metaphysical reality, metaphysical Christians, and most metaphysicians, when you look at the culture of the metaphysicians, it has an interesting perception. People perceive it differently. When I first got serious with my devotion and metaphysical path, it was in the 1980s. And every metaphysician on any level was always viewed as airy-fairy, pie in the sky, can't pay their bills, don't have their feet on the ground. You know, that is how we were perceived as a culture in that day and time. I think that we've evolved some, but I don't think that we've united much. I want you to hear that. We've evolved into understanding our thoughts are creative and our emotions are important and that we create our reality. We've evolved to understand all of that. But until our matter reflects our beliefs, we are still not strong. And as a culture, as a metaphysical culture, can we all say that we actually own and walk these beliefs that we read about? You know, you can ask how many people read The Secret, how many people believe in the law of attraction. Oh my God, the numbers are staggering. How many people live it? Whoop. Now we have a much smaller number. we're all seeking it. We're all seeking it. And we cannot actually get full traction until we start uniting as a community. So we talked a lot about that last week, about bringing God into our reality. So let's talk about metaphysical Christianity in our culture, creating a culture. We say here we have a very safe place, but are you safe with everyone that you meet here? Does everyone feel they're safe with you as an individual? We have created a safe place and a safe community, but we also have to have that safety community, that safety individual to individual within the community. We need to embody the beliefs, even though we are different and on different paths. We are all individuals walking an individual journey. But as metaphysical Christians, we have a baseline of beliefs that if we all embodied, it would create culture. Okay? So when you define culture, it's this. This is a funny definition. This is Webster. The totality of socially transmitted behavior patterns and beliefs. I think it's funny. The totality of socially transmitted behavior patterns and beliefs. So as we embody this possible idea of creating a culture that people can actually look at and say, those people actually accept others. Those people actually love the world. Those people actually believe that it doesn't matter what religion you are, you're part of God. I want to be one of those people. We don't need to change the world. We just want to unite ours. So what people do think about us at this point is most metaphysical Christians are positive. That's the one thing that we do kind of hold as a culture. People see that we don't go to the negative first, we go to the positive. And that's a really good thing. But in order for us to actually live on a personal, individual level, our beliefs, we have to actually put work into balancing our emotions and thoughts. I want to be kind and successful and accepting. The culture wants all of us to be kind, accepting, and successful and loved. So we can have the ideal in a culture, but are we always kind, accepting, and loving of people that we know and people that we meet? The internal healing is now. Now it's time. We've had all this time to play around. We've had all this time to do whatever we wanted to do, but now it's time for us to heal. I speak of this often. I'm speaking of it again today. July 23rd, 2013, I was told, speak positively about everyone for a year, and you will be amazed at how your life will change. That was almost 7 years ago. And I will make it 2 to 3 months, and then I will speak not positively about someone. And I have to start my year over. So I start my year over every 2 weeks, every 3 months, whenever something slips out of my mouth that is less than positive. And for the last year, normally I just get mad at Patrick. I'm getting better, but I'm still not there. I started my year over 2 weeks ago. So I want you to be with me for a moment. I want to talk about that very energy. When words come out of our mouth that is less than positive about someone. When I was a young girl, how we got our power. You would say something snarky about somebody. It's not like you didn't mean it. You might have meant it, you might not have meant it, but if I just say something snarky, now I'm better than them. And we think we're snipping power from people when we do that. But the reality is we're giving power to what we say negative things about. We're giving power away. This is true of me. If it's true of me, it might be true of you. When I speak negatively about anyone, I literally feel myself falling into a lower frequency. It's like I'm blah, and then boom, I go down. And it is obvious to me that I have just cut my light. I've just dimmed my light. And it does not feel good. It does not feel good at all. being aware of what we're doing to our energy field is the first thing that I want you to be aware of. The second thing is this. In situations where you love somebody, you're friends with them, you love them, and they may say something negative about someone else. Had a situation where I love people and I love this person and I loved another person, and the person I love came and said, well, I don't love that person much anymore. I went, why would they do? Because I love that other person we're talking about. It's like, oh, they're fabulous. They're different. They're unique. They're not like me at all. They live their life totally, completely differently. But you don't love them anymore. You used to love them. Why don't you love them? Well, no more words were said, so the whole thing is dismissed. And guess what gets lodged in my brain? Something's wrong with the person that we just spoke of. They are not lovable any longer. And I didn't even realize where it went in my brain until they come every month or two. They don't live in the state. Till they came through the door and I went, oh! I wanted to greet them with the same enthusiasm I always did, but I literally felt my light go, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong with you. And because the person who made the comment gave me no details, I couldn't make any choices about how I felt about them. So I had this poison in my consciousness about somebody. Yeah, I didn't even realize it until I greeted them. I've also had this situation come reverse to me when someone would be talking to me and I would say, what's wrong? Why? You're different. You are different than we've always been. I love you. You're a friend. What's happening? And it would be revealed that things unkind would have been said about me that went into their brain. And, I want you to hear, these comments could have been made off the cuff, and it could have been a snarky thing. Well, I'm just going to snark on Cindy because she can handle it. Well, you might be able to snark on me, but the person you snarked to created a file that now has poison in it towards Cindy. We do this to each other all the time, and we can handle it because we're upset. We know that we're mad. We blah, blah. Then we get over it. Then we heal it. We totally forget that we have poisoned people with our comments, and we've left them to deal with it. And it wasn't even their business to begin with. Okay, I know that's too much. You guys don't want to hear this, but it's important, because if we're going to go forward really living the life, we need to start watching our thoughts. We need to start being aware that anything negative that comes out of our mouth about anyone, we're really giving power to them. We may be poisoning them in somebody else's mind, but they have our power. The minute we speak negatively about them, they've got our power, they've got our attention. Spirit was reminding me of a situation that occurred maybe 8 years ago. I was in a gas station, and I had a little thing with my car. You know, here I am, sweet person, driving a Prius. There's a Roswell police officer there. And I say to him, could you help me for a minute? And he said no. And he ran and went to pay his bill and left. And I went, okay. And he apparently went in and ratted on me to the guy in the gas station. And when I went in, the guy said, quit harassing my customers for help. It's like, I'm driving a Prius. Come on, people. I just needed someone to pop my thing while I did the thing inside. I couldn't do it. It's not a one-person job. But the memory of that attitude toward the police officer, of me being rejected, was strong. Since then, we had Milton police officers come out and help us, and they were fabulous and wonderful. They're amazing, they were kind, and I love them. We dealt with them several times. But when you say to me, police officer, guess which file comes up? Roswell. Be careful, they won't help you. That's the file that comes up. And as I was aware of it, Spirit said to me, you know, Cindy, you didn't handle that one like you would handle a counseling client. And I did not. I would say to my counseling client, okay, why did you draw that particular police officer of all the cops in the world to dish you that day? What were you trying to show yourself? What were you trying to learn from it? I didn't process it like I would help my clients process it. I internalized it. And guess who had my power? This young cop roaming through Roswell has had my power for all these years. He didn't want my power. I don't want him to have my power. But do you see? My experience, I let it get in, and do you think I've shared that story to a lot of people? Yep, I've spread some poison. I have. I've shared that story about how the cop was unkind. But it was me. It was me having the experience. So what we want to do is we want to begin to look at our experiences in life and look at what comes to our thoughts and look at them metaphysically. If you are counseling with me and you're sitting across from me and we've prayed in and we've got Jesus with us and I'm asking to look at it from the higher level, you can tell me anything about anybody. I don't care about them. I don't judge them. They're not my problem. I want to know why they're your problem. I want to know where your energy is. Why are you attached to that? What is it trying to teach you? That person may be completely innocent in what they did, but your perception is they are not. So we work on you. Do you hear? So we work on metaphysically, why are you feeling uncomfortable about a situation? To try to let your thoughts go to, oh, I have choice, I have freedom, I can forgive, and I can move on. If we can move to that, choice, freedom, forgive, and move on, when things come at us and when we think things, when we are having a negative thought, stop and say, why am I attached to this position? Why am I attached to this? Do I think it's giving me power? It's taking my power. If I feel uncomfortable with someone or have a negative thought, why are they even in my brain? Why are they that important to me? What are they trying to show me, teach me? You guys with me on this? Okay. I was telling people about, we were talking about something just this past week or so, and David Farr, I want to give him credit for this because it was really funny. We were talking about, well, if I make this choice as the church leader, there may be backlash. And Mr. Farner said, there are always grumblers, mumblers, and church crumblers. And I thought that was just so funny. So we could say there are mumblers, grumblers, and culture crumblers. Because when our culture is filled with people who speak negatively, how safe is our environment? If you can't, you know you can share your counselings with me, but if you can't share your casual stuff with me and me not be poisoned, someone's not safe in my world. You know, if my brain cannot process it in the love of God, someone's not safe in my world. And when we have a culture that still reserves the right to criticize, judge, and badmouth, and have bad thoughts about others, are we metaphysical Christians? Are we living the thoughts of love and acceptance and peace? And for me, I can honestly tell you, it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's like a ton of bricks. I wear it like I'm just burdened with it until I can figure out how to forgive, heal, and move forward. You know, we go through all of our personal searches as why am I having this experience? What is it bringing to me? And we try to process everything. And sometimes it takes time. But the reality is, our hearts, if we are truly seeking to live in a space of safety, we must offer that to all, whether they offer it to us or not. Does this make sense, I hope? All right. Now you know why cults leave the world. Cults leave the world to create a culture so they don't have to interact with all of us. We're not a cult. We ain't leaving the world. We have to learn to do this and create in the middle of all the chaos, in the middle of all the opinions. All right. So employing the individual counseling techniques are fabulous. So you go to God. You bring in the person or situation that you're at odds with. And then ask, why does this bother me? And when I say go to God, do your meditation, lift up into a beautiful light, have Jesus Christ by your side, you are at peace, and bring in the person or the situation that bothers you. Look at it and just say, why does this bother me? What am I trying to show myself? And then when you can figure it out, if it's offense, ask yourself, are they threatening me? Is there something that I'm afraid of? Take your power back. Just say, I want my power back. I want to send you love and I want to let you go. if they remind me of someone else. Sometimes you'll look at something and go, oh, it just reminds me of my mother or my father, and I'm just mad at them still. Bring your mother or father in. You have your person, you have this situation. Why am I so attached to this? Does it hurt or harm me in this moment? Can I forgive it? Bring your power back, let your love flow, and let them go. Let them go. When you have your power back in your central core, then you can choose. Then you're not always thinking about what might happen, what people might say about you, what they are saying about you. You won't care. All right. When you dislike someone so much you will speak ill of them, you are holding them in your consciousness and they have your power. When you dislike someone so much you will speak ill of them, even casually speak ill of them. You are holding them in your consciousness and they have your power. All right. I wanted to share just a little bit from the Best of White Eagle. Divine dipped into this morning, so I think Spirit wants us to look at it. As you think, so you will become. We know that. We hear that all the time. And so you create the conditions that surround you. Never allow yourselves to dwell in darkness or fear or inharmony. If you will transfer your thoughts from physical to spiritual, you will solve your problems. So when we're looking at the issue and we're in fear or in harmony, if we go to God, go to the Spirit, then we can see that which is true, the greater. Nothing in your life is actually more important than God thought. It says, you are unconsciously influenced by the thoughts of others. The arrows of these thoughts come and they may even settle in your solar plexus. But when it happens, this is when you send the love to protect and send a loving thought in response. Send a loving thought in response. So, our negative thoughts of others do not give us power, they take our power. To think positively and generously of our brother man, then we will generally be thought of positively and generously. And if that is not the case, you won't worry about it, because if someone does not vibrate with you, they will vibrate from you. You don't have to protect yourself. If someone doesn't vibrate with the essence of who you are and your belief system, they'll vibrate from you. You don't need to judge them. You don't need to dismiss them. You don't need to protect yourself from them. It will just naturally be. We are trying to create a space of love on the planet. And at InnerQuest, this is our 30th year. Yay! We have been focusing on empowering the individuals, actually for 30 years. You have destiny, you have a dream, you have a Christ within you, empowering the individuals. I think our wake-up call is creating community. Creating a community where people can know they can walk in the door and there will not be one person that judges them, that they'll be accepted, and that there will not be anything ill said of them or to them, that they are just held in a safe space. It is not my will to hurt or harm any man. I live to the will of God, and I will walk in that safety and peace for all mankind. Sometimes our personal wills click in, and they start thinking things that we wouldn't normally want to think. So we go back to the will of God. I want to walk in the light of God love, accepting and creating safety for every person. I hope this makes sense to you guys today. The thoughts that we have are loud. I've spoken mainly about speaking and expressing them, but when you think it, it's still there. It's creating, the person is still feeling it. They feel it. I think we're being called now to community, which means creating a culture, again, where the metaphysical principles of love are held within all of our hearts. And we do try, and we do forgive when we don't succeed. We try, we forgive, and we keep going back. So that is step one, watching our thoughts, doing our forgiveness work. If anyone bothers us enough to hold them in our consciousness, we have some work to do. We need to go within and figure out what's going on, get our power back and forgive. All right, that's step one for this month. Let's just anchor it in. So breathe. And I want you to feel the love of Jesus Christ. And as you do, you can feel that this is the same energy the disciples were faced with in the beginning. Creating a culture where his presence was loved and honored. So I want you just to feel yourself aligning with Jesus as he stands by your side. And simply feel a desire to become your beliefs. A desire to release any poison in your consciousness. And as you feel that, we can do one small step. Feel the love of the Christ moving through you. Feel your love getting strong. And in your mind's eye, just hold out your hands and you can just call forth any excess debris or poison that you're currently carrying that can be released in this moment. Anything you might have thought of while we spoke. And let it become a ball of light. I no longer wish to hold this energy, and I give it to you, God. Feel it being released up into the light. Feel the angelic love surrounding you. I choose to behold the brotherhood of man. I choose to know all are God's children. And I choose to walk in love. Feel that love of the Christ with you. Take a breath. And know that you are certainly safe in the heart of God. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes.